Yeah, I just want to just formally introduce you, everyone that's going to be listening to the show or joining into the show today. I have Amir. He's very passionate on human rights, social justice, and democracy, and basically lived experience on a lot of these issues. And it's such a great pleasure to have you on the show today, Amir. Thanks for coming by.
Thank you for having me. This is an honor to be on your show, and as I told you before, I'm glad that you're trying to raise awareness about the issues that affect a large portion of the community.
Yeah, and it's so important to have allies join in on the movement to try to make it a better Canadian society for sure, and bringing enlightening of basically what you've gone through in your life of different experiences too, which helps to bring awareness to other people of maybe people that you've had in your life or around you that maybe have a disability or anyone that you know. Yeah, and what would you like to talk about on that part?
Well, the issue that is important, for me, in terms of my journey, is the the transition from bystander to participant in the community affairs. I'm from Iran. I went to university there for 5 terms to about 2.5 years, and then I moved to Canada in 2005. However, when I was in Iran, I was very, very much following politics and issues related to human rights, and I was mostly watching from the sidelines, actively watching, I would say. But when I came to Canada in 2009, when there was an election in Iran, and there was basically a fraud, electoral fraud, and the uprising that came after that pushed me into becoming active, because I realized that somebody has to raise awareness. So I cannot claim that I was as influential or as brave, as courageous as those who risked their lives for the basic rights. The least I could do from 15,000 kilometers away is to raise awareness, and there was a price to be paid. I can't go visit. I don't feel safe to go visit my homeland. But that was a very minimal price to pay compared to what people have to go through for speaking out on on that scene. And I tried to basically raise awareness, but that was a start to get involved here in Canada and try to raise awareness, to try to be an active participant in democracy here. Because there are a lot of times that you can see that people people underestimate their power to make a difference, and there were some contrasts between Iranian and Canadian systems. I'm not talking about democracy or dictatorship. What was interesting is that politics in Iran was happening on campus in universities and colleges. Politics in Canada happens at senior centers, care homes, which is great, but the youth are not as active. But when I was a student, I remember from the extreme right of the spectrum to the most progressive, forward-thinking people, they were coming to our university campus to talk to us and to get our support. Yes, that was a dictatorship system, but still, they needed to sell their ideas to students, because the students were the driving force of any political change or any movement towards for better or for worse, although mostly for better. So this was a little bit disappointing to see that it wasn't the case in Canada. But what comes with people like me when we migrate is the skepticism. We were just so let down and disappointed by the system before that we believe that change is not possible and things were decided beforehand. And when I say we, I don't want to generalize a lot of people. The skepticism and the cynicism is there, but we need to go past that and try to influence that. The other challenge is from the political system when they reach out to new Canadians. They don't. They only go at a superficial level. They don't really try to engage them on issues of substance and look at them as active partners. They're just considered as guests, in their opinion. Which, yes, of course, we're all guests on stolen Indigenous land, but you can't really, have two tiers of guests. One of them is more guests than the others.
I was going to say that from a PWD standpoint, it really kind of rings true because I think there's a lot of the PWD crowd out here and across Canada that, I mean, we often feel voiceless or not validated, and certainly not a political hot topic or not a sexy topic to discuss on in the political circles, right? And I just want to get your feelings on how to kind of push the needle or raise the profile of the PWD to make it a more prominent issue, because I do feel that often it just gets pushed aside and we don't have the voices that we deserve, I don't think.
Unfortunately, you're right. I can't disagree with you. I can't dispute it. I wish I could. In terms of moving those issues to the forefront, the thing that I think is important is to bring the decision makers to the circles of PWDs and bring the PWDs to deep into the decision-making forums as well. And these are easier said than done. I totally get that. This is the issue. This is a challenge to do that. It takes time. It takes a lot of time, even for immigrants. Like we're talking about racism and discrimination and diversity and all that kind of stuff. But even then, when it comes to substance, there is always resistance. And there are two things that we need to separate here because, politicians, they may have ideas, they may have opinions, they may really be sympathetic towards a cause. But unfortunately, the bureaucracy is more stagnant. It has a lot of inertia towards change. So for politicians, unless they feel that heat from the community, they don't get to move. And the other thing that I would say it's important, and it's disappointing to say this, because you should not, as a person with disability, you should not have to carry that weight on you. It's an obligation of various groups in the society to actually be and act like allies and make sure that they champion the voices of persons with disability and share their experiences and share their resources with them and share connections. That's actually very important. And the last thing I would add is mentorship. So when I started entering into the political arena, there was not any mentor for me. And I would suspect this is the same for people with disability when they want to enter a political scene or when they want to raise their voice and raise awareness about it amongst decision makers. There's no mentorship to help them, like, hey, you gotta do it this way. You gotta use these strategies. You gotta mobilize like this. These are the people to talk to. Like, these mentorships are very valuable. We don't have that. That's not part of the political culture, at least what I see. And allies, unfortunately, they don't share those resources and share those wisdoms as much as they should. So I'd like to see more on that. And it's not just, it's not just a favor towards people with disability. It is about making sure it helps the society at large. This is a community. This is a society that I'm a member of. If we lift up a group of the society, it will lift all of us together. So it's not, if I help someone with a disability to be their ally and to help them raise awareness and get connected, I'm not doing them a favor. I'm doing myself a favor first and foremost, because that's going to help me as a member of this society to live in a better community.
Well, absolutely, Amir. It's so important to network with people, and to lift people out of poverty in Canada. It's so easy to do. It just takes the political will. What we find is it's like passing the hot potato back and forth, right? Well, somebody else's jurisdiction, and it's a jurisdictional issue, right? And it's legislated poverty, right? And it has to end, because Canada is a very very wealthy nation, and they can afford to do it. All you have to do, to pay for the Canada Disability Benefit Program that's being proposed to launch. It gets paid by taxing the ultra rich, right? There's big corporations out there that are not paying their fair share of taxes in Canada, and I mean that's how it gets paid for, and it's so easy. 1%, 2%, boom! It just it just comes down to the politicians actually are hungry enough to actually do it. I mean, if they ask a PWD in Canada, are they hungry enough? Oh, absolutely. They're starving, right? And with them wanting to do like a 3-year study, I mean, it's like banging the drum over and over, and they've studied this stuff for decades and decades. It's been proven like over 50, 60 years ago that it needs to be done. There's so many variables that when the high-end politicians or higher up, they know at the end of the day like what needs to be done, right? It's all on paper, like it's all black and white. They know what has to be done, and it's just the political will. Like I say before, like it's easy to make changes, and it's which party wants to do it, and it's kind of a tug of war back and forth, and it's kind of more of a jurisdictional issue, but it benefits all of Canadians, basically low income all the way up to all the way up to seniors, right? And people with disabilities, I mean, they become a senior. Well, then what happens? I mean, I've seen so many and read so many sad stories